Oh, and we are live. And a very good evening, everybody, and a very warm welcome to a Lyceum evening. Apologies, we had a few connection issues getting started tonight, but we are there. How wonderful is that? And a great delight to a gentleman who's been a guest on our Lyceum evenings before. But a very warm welcome to return to the wonderful David. David, how are you, sir? Apart from a bit fraught of trying to get on.
Yes, well, huge problems, but I must say they are, in the greater scheme, they are small problems, aren't they? I don't like to disappoint people. No, I'm really, really good. Thank you so much for having me again, and it's lovely to spend the time with you all. It's really nice.
Excellent. One of the particular interests people find tantalizing is just a little bit of background about yourself. So, your reasons for coming into spiritualism and mediumship, and of course, your crucial role, your role as a healer.
Okay. I hope it's for the benefit what I'm saying for others. Okay. It's not about me. It's really interesting. I cannot say I came into spiritualism at all. This was not. I'm coming from Switzerland. We don't have a religion, and I'm certainly when I found the Arthur Finlay College in this sense, and I had my access point. My first access points with spiritualism as such, not understanding what it really was for a long time, to be honest. It wasn't really about mediumship as such, not about the becoming of a healing medium, the becoming of a demonstrating medium or one-to-one medium. For me, the pathway just brought me into where I am today. So if you want to call it destiny, maybe, or the soul path, if it was written in the Akasha Chronic to become what I am today, I don't know. Maybe everything at once. You see, so I can't really answer properly this question. What made you come into spiritualism? I don't believe that anybody comes into spiritualism. I believe you grow into it. That's what I can say. I believe it's a growing of self. That for me in the beginning it was of course only the mediumship that was interesting. I was 25. What would I wanna listen to philosophy? First of all, my English wasn't good enough. Because of the addresses that they normally have at the Sunday or Wednesday service, I always thought, okay, get on with it and come to the demonstration.
People still do.
Well, it's fair enough. It's how I started, and if I wasn't allowed to have had that, I would never be where I am today. So people start at different points. And especially when you come from a culture like I come, where I grew up with no religious ties, or very, very loose. I mean, religion was never really important to my life since since I was a baby. It wasn't really something that I wanted to have, that I missed. If I didn't have it, it was just part of a society. You are this or you are that, and therefore this concept of religion came much later, with growing into that aspect of mediumship, and then all of a sudden being having had good teachers that brought in philosophical aspect of it, then made you a bit more aware of what am I as a human being in this life. But I feel this is very much a growth that people go through. Does that help a little bit to understand who I am?
It does, and we've now run out of time. So thank you, David. That was wonderful.
Yeah, you just say stop, David. Stop.
Absolutely beautiful. And do you know what? I just love the synchronicity of things. Because I want to go back to the very first few lines that you said there about I didn't come into spiritual, it was about me and finding out about me. Because that's very much a energy and a driving force, particularly here at Paul, is to not dismissing the evidential mediumship or the healing side or the philosophy or the inspirational. They all have their place, they all have their purpose. But it's just been something in my energy now since the middle of last year that maybe we are neglecting the medium themselves.
In what way neglecting the medium?
In their development of themselves.
Yeah,
See where we're going there?
Yeah, interesting point.
It is
actually. It is an interesting point.
As I said, certainly not neglecting the other aspects of spiritualism, but I do feel sometimes we get a little bit led off our own path of development, where we're learning, to me, evidential mediumship is an ability that we learn. It's a mechanic.
Interesting as well, yes.
Oh, right. Am I hitting a nerve there as well?
No, just an opinion. And I find it fascinating, and this is why the Lyceum is so important, or these talks that you create are so important. And I would like to invite the people that are here, because I can't see them, but welcome for everybody who joined in to participate, to bring their own thoughts. It's really interesting what is happening here. In my opinion, two things are being confused lately. It doesn't mean, or it doesn't automatically follow, that a medium has to be a spiritualist or a spiritual person. It hasn't.
Yeah.
It is a faculty, the mediumistic gift. It's for some it is given, and for others they have to work. I had to work for my mediumship, okay? It wasn't just a gift, it wasn't just given. Okay, I had to study and I had to train myself to get to the quality that I can produce today. Okay, it wasn't just there. I wasn't born with it and had this faculty. I see people running around that word dead, or I could talk to people, or I saw people with you, or I heard them or felt them. I can't claim that. So fact is, a kid who is born with the mediumistic faculties has nothing in common with a philosophy, or has nothing in itself that automatically makes them a spiritual person.
Very true.
It is just there.
Very true.
You see? So therefore, hi, Mike Mercy's lovely to have you. Therefore, it is like we have to differentiate what is a medium and what is someone who practices the religion of spiritualism, or is just a spiritual person who is interested and likes elements out of what spiritualism is providing for them. I think we can differentiate there a bit more.
Very much so. And here I am, president of a Christian spiritualist church. But there has been this thing about, religion and churches. And unfortunately, we sometimes get a little bit bogged down on the negative side. If you say about church, I don't go to a church because whatever. I think the religious side can hinder us if we allow it.
Yes, absolutely. It is always, in my opinion, and people this is just one little small opinion that sometimes changes as well. You see, we need to maybe also focus upon who do you want to attract. So I believe if you wanna open the doors to people who are disappointed with religion, who are fed up with religion, who were not cared about within their religion that they had, are they really thinking of changing religion, or are they seeking something else that they feel seen again, or that they feel part of it again? Does it always need to be religious belief that helps people gather?
Yeah.
So I think we have different groups of people, because if I was in that narrow corset of sorry to say that now, for example, Catholic Church.
Yeah, the orthodoxies.
Yes, where I had to pray, I had to go to church every Sunday. I had to do it for years and years and years, and then they because something happened in my life, I wasn't really worth going anymore. I was thrown out of that movement. And then all of a sudden I come to a place and it is church again. So what does my mind say?
Yeah.
I came from a church and now I have to enter a church to become part of something. But can you see what I'm saying? It's like,
oh, very much so.
Maybe I need a break of church.
Yeah.
And relearn what actually church in a spiritualism sense of a spiritualist mind should mean, or does mean. Does that make, is that clear enough?
That is very clear, David, and really relatable. It's quite a few years ago, I came across the humanist, and I thought, oh, I like this. Non-religious, but it was trying so hard in some areas to be non-religious, it actually created its own religion.
Yes, absolutely.
And it was just like, it was a really interesting observation. And we've seen it with various churches becoming centres and things like that. And I always have a bit of a wry smile on my face when, they say, oh, we've just become a centre, and to celebrate that, we've had a divine service with ministers. And I'm just thinking, eh?
I see where you're coming from. And I see it in that sense that when you speak of God in Switzerland, for example, people within the area that I grew up, because we have parts that are very Catholic in Switzerland, very much so. And then we have the total, complete opposite, which are non-religious almost, okay? And then you come up with that word God. And the connotation God has for a lot of people who want to change their religion or move away from their religion, they have a set idea of what God is.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when they come, Christian spiritualism is a bit different from SNU spiritualism, and there are many, and we forget there are many different movements of spiritualism with many different principles and guidelines and principles. For example, we seem to forget that we have quite differences within spiritualism as well.
Oh, very much.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's like if I come to a church, first of all, it's like, okay, the name church has maybe for such a person a negative feel.
Yeah.
Because they relate it to that what they know. And then maybe they come into a church. I just tell you how my experience was, okay?
Carry on, David. Nice. What's it all about?
It's really nice. Because in our churches, we do sing hymns, or we used to sing hymns. I came at the time where we sang hymns in the sanctuary at the Art of Finley College.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, hymns are the same as the previous religions I came from. Then we have prayers, the same name as from where I have come from. And then we have an address, the same where I have come from. And the only difference that is the mediumship.
Yeah.
Can you see where there is 3 elements where my mind being trained or indoctrinated so strongly over decades of my life says, it's not really appealing to go to a church?
Yeah, absolutely.
I can see that.
Yeah. And as I say, I quite often get it if I say that I'm running a church. There is quite often that, I don't want to say negative reaction.
Yeah.
But there is that reaction. And I go,
oh,
that's fine. Absolutely fine. Try coming to the church. If you enjoy it, I always say to people, thank you for coming. If you've enjoyed it, great. If you haven't, great, because you've actually come in to find out.
Yes.
You've not stood outside going, oh no, it's a church, I'm not having anything to do with that. You've actually sort of taken that little step. So it shows, you're on that pathway to some sort of enlightenment. Now, how, where, whatever the circumstances are, you're going to find that. You're going to find it because you're actively looking for that.
See?
Again, sadly, we have a very negative world, and people, it's, if you go out and give a £5 to somebody, there's 20 people queuing up to tell you why you shouldn't have done that. And it's
I know.
Today,
However, saying that, just to name it differently, center, and when you come in, the same thing is done as in the church, then it's not much of a difference, isn't it?
I know. As I said, I've seen this several times, and I just thought, okay. Anyway, we have wonderful people.
Cool.
We have the lovely Reverend Ashley Oliver, who had the great delight of sharing my morning coffee with this morning.
Sure.
Over Zoom. It's all right. There's no philandering going on. She's saying, I feel that is about creating a space for a compassionate conversation about how we can offer another way to people looking for community. We use a phase in interfaith work where we support people deconstructing their faith journey and not throwing God out with the bathwater. Like that.
It's fantastic. And every single conversation entails this topic. How can we bring in people? It's ongoing. It's for decades. I hear that all the time, again and again. Thank you for this question. What I find very, very interesting, and I believe, or I feel in nowadays time, where God has become something very, very distant to the younger generation. That's why the spirit world talks about materialism. We have to acknowledge, we are living in a world where most of the people are very, very materialistic. You can see that. It is what I have counts the most. And now we're coming with this God. And that's the first thing that you will be meeting when you come to a church. Divine Father God. And people then, or who have a problem with God, you have lost them. You have lost them within the first sentence that you have said. Okay. And in Christian spiritualist churches, which is absolutely correct and fine, you have the cross. In a lot of spiritualist churches, you have the cross. And the first thing that you see when you sit in is the cross. Well, the cross is a reference of where you have come from, and now you're sitting in a place that, here it is again. So they are coming with the old picture of, we are all sinners, we are all ending up in hell, you know, those.
How do you know my sermon?
No, this is over hundreds of years that is so indoctrinated in generations that you don't even consciously think of that. It just happens automatically. So maybe let's talk about God. Who is God? How do you find God? What is God to you?
Yeah.
But not only, hey, find out who God to you is. Maybe we need a little pamphlet to explain how do I find the access to God, and what purpose and what benefit do I have if I find him or it or she or
Whatever.
you know,
Yeah.
it's like it is a very difficult concept for people who have never touched upon the essence of the God force to understand what we are talking about.
Yeah. I've often said to people, you know, who challenge or struggle with the concept of God, and I said, do you know what? In my opinion, at the end of the day, I don't care if you believe that the universe is run by a giant tree frog. To me, the most important thing is finding a belief system.
And I say it should matter. It should matter for you that they are able to find what you have found, that eternal source that gives comfort in very, very difficult times.
Yeah. I have my conception, which tomorrow, next week, will probably change slightly, which is great. But as I say, you know, like you say, with religions, it's been banged in over the centuries what it is, and always watching. You do anything wrong, you're in trouble. You know, and I get that. I get the rebellion against that energy.
And you see, what I am I'm very philosophical, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for that. Lately, I seem to move in myself again, and I have many questions. And I hope the previous question was answered somehow. Okay, I believe we need to get a new access to God, whatever that means to people, or however they can perceive a new God if they were disappointed by the old one. Okay, so you see what makes us special in your place, Pool Spiritualist, Christian Spiritualist Church. What makes it special? And I'm telling you what makes it special, because you can find the spirit within, or you should be able to find the spirit within. We are all talking about the spirit and the spirit world. But yet sometimes when you go into places, and I'm sorry to be so blunt, sometimes you don't feel that essence anymore. And what we are is we are people who have all had similar experiences with what we call the spirit world. And the spirit world brings us together. And when we are together with the spirit world, then the God essence comes into place.
Yeah.
Because that's why they say mediumship is the shop window to attract people to then move into the philosophy, into the philosophical side of it.
Definitely.
Well, but the spirit essence is something that always drew me back to the college. It wasn't the addresses, it wasn't the philosophy. I think it was not even the mediumship as such. It was something that touched me on a deeper level, that made me wanting more. And I think we need to bring that one back into our places.
Bang on. And wonderfully enough, I don't have the answer to everything. I just do what I do. And if you like it, wonderful. If you don't like it, that's wonderful too. But again, it's going back to we say that mediumship is seen as the shop window to our movement, but the support and the ongoing development of the medium, not of their faculties, not of their abilities,
Okay.
but the wholeness that can. I mean, I'm sure. Please say yes. I'm sure.
Yes, I do. I do absolutely agree.
No, with what I was just about to say was, I'm sure that in your journey as the evidential medium, that you've been touched so closely by that spirit. You've been not relaying information, you've lived the message.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And when you have those moments like that, where you are living that message and passing that on, to me, that should really touch mediums on this soul level, and take that away and dissect it and work with it, you know, and how has it affected me? Not, oh, on Facebook, I had a brilliant message last night, blah, 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 laughter and tears, la, la, la. But yeah, really just sit and take that in and just think, wow, wow, what's that mean to me as a person? But this is where, as I say, this is where I'm looking at more with the emphasis of the development of the mediums, whatever faculty they're using, but taking it back to self and not treating it like an extension, you know. And you hear it in people's language as well. And so I'm just waiting for spirit to come to me. And I just think,
okay,
you're in spirit. There, you are spirit, and they are spirit, and you're already there. You're intertwined. Why do you put this distance in? You got me on my high horse now, David.
Laurie, it is actually taught to bring the distance in. It was taught for decades and decades and decades, and I'm telling you why. The reason why that was brought in is evidence. Evidence. Bring me the evidence. What were you? What have you done in life? How many children did you have? How many wives or husbands did you have? What was your profession? Tell me more. Tell me more. What was it? Where did you live?
Yeah.
We created this distance, but when you look at, and that's an opinion, that's where I'm going now.
That's great.
Very nice. It's very nice. When you look at human communication, when I want to communicate with someone that I love and I have missed for so many years, do you really think I want to talk about my job?
Yeah.
So we have taken out humanity out of mediumship. Because when you look at old, I mean, there are old recordings of Gordon Higginson, for example, or when you read witness statements of Helen Hughes, for example, where she said, do you know what? I want to come to this lady, and I have Mr. Jones here. He was your neighbor, and he wants to tell you that he saw you doing things in the kitchen and that you broke the glass. And by the way, Mrs. Jones from the neighbor, thank you so much that you looked after her.
Yeah.
This is a conversation. This is a communication. This is not Mr. Jones having to say who I am, what did I do, did I have brown hair, short hair, was I slim, was I well built? You know, it's like when you look at. I mean, it's fascinating when you read that, and then Helen Hughes, for example, in her biography, people read it. It's like she came out with stuff and said, "Do you know what? I want to come to this lady here. I know your brother is in the world of spirit, and I know that he drowned in a puddle, and I just want to say he didn't commit suicide. That was important for you to know." Well, it is evidential because it all happened.
Yeah.
It was the brother, and the message was important as well because everybody thought it was suicide, and it clarified that one. I mean, hey, that is A's mediumship. I haven't got such a strong mediumship.
Yeah.
If I stood next to Estelle Roberts or Helen Hughes or all those mediums of the past, I could pack my stuff. Oh, seriously. And I believe many of us could just say, I think I'm not even intermediate now. I just need to go back. Do you know what I mean? And there I want to come back to. It's a great. I'm just looking for the right word here. It is quite. I can't find the word. It is rather a lot for a medium to grow on both in both faculties at the same time. Yeah. So when you spoke about should a medium not grow within their spiritual nature, of course it should. But that's why I said I grew into mediumship. I grew into the philosophy. I grew into more than spiritualism, I believe now today. Yeah. It is more than just spiritualism, because it's not just focus upon a group of community. It is the whole thing. But it took me time to get where I needed to be to gain that understanding. Now actually the spirit world is not someone from here, but someone from within. Yeah. I needed to grow as a human being in doing what I did as a medium. And then looking back, I say, of course, now, and this is choice again, now I have reflected upon what kind of communications that I had, and that hopefully helped me to hopefully have become a better person than I was 20 years ago. Hopefully.
Absolutely brilliant and bang on. And yeah, obviously we're talking about this in the benefit of our understanding of spirit communication, our experience of spirit communication, and the will and the perseverance of the other world to help us to improve. But you can actually take that energy out of spiritualism and apply it anywhere. Everybody has got that ability, no matter what their job, no matter what their faith system, to become a better human. And my goodness, the world is desperately in need of that this time. So yeah,
absolutely.
We're dodging back between conversations.
That's great. That's great.
So the lovely Bridie, good evening, darling. I hope you're well. She's great. She is. Don't tell her. She's just saying, hi, Laurie and David. I agree wholehearted with you, Laurie. Mediums are left to their own survival devices to cope with their own emotions, where it's possible that they are affected by the communication coming in from the spirit. Just an opinion. But yeah, because that does pick up quite a nice salient point, and one that I've brought up before in conversations, that I run circles here, I run development groups, I run development courses, but I also endeavour to not just push people out, oh, you're ready, off you go and do it, which you see. You know, people coming out of a circle, 1 minute they're in a cozy circle, which is absolutely fine, it's needed, it's part of the course.
Yeah.
And the next minute they're up there, and we've got to do it seems like this mandatory 1 hour, 20 minutes for a service, doesn't it? Wherever you go. And when you break down the time, the chairperson only does about 10 minutes talking. The other hour and 10 minutes is down to the demonstrator. And it's when you get up there and you suddenly think, oh, crikey, I've got to do a prayer. I've got to do a reading and link in with the philosophy. And you always get it, don't you, at the end of the demonstration. Oh, time for just one more.
A quickie.
Yeah, a quickie. Yeah. I actually did turn to a chairperson once, and she said, "Oh, there's time for one more." And I said, "Well, if you feel like you want to do one, that's absolutely fine. But my energy's gone now." And I sat down afterwards. I thought I wasn't being rude, but I knew I'd reached my time.
Limitations, yeah.
Yeah, and also the one that I'd just done was a cracker, and I thought I'm ending on a high. I'm not going to drag it out and then come up with something.
Correct.
Say.
It's correct. It's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
But you see, people want always more. And was it? I didn't catch the name quite correctly. Birdie or Bridie. Sorry for that. Yeah. It's very, very important here with the emotions. You see, I believe it's just people need to be trained better in their knowledge to understand what is happening with their emotional system when they work as a medium. Because while you're working with your sensitivity, your hormonal system is also part of that.
Yeah.
And of course, when you are in that moment where someone connects so strongly with you, and it touches your energy system so strongly that emotions are transported through your energy, and you feel the sadness that all of a sudden comes. And you nearly break down as a medium. You know it's not your sadness, it's the spirit world sadness. Yeah. But because they are using your energy field, your energy starts to react to what is happening here, is impressed by it, and therefore it starts to stir my hormonal system, my central nervous system, etc., etc. And therefore I start to really feel like this. Okay? Aha. Yeah. That is a downside of sensitivity, because my body starts to follow the energy and starts to react as such. And if I am trained very well and I am starting to recognize that, hey, one moment here, I need to stop because my energy system, my physical system is starting to go into a hyper state. I need to stop it, because otherwise stress will come into being. And when we have stress, we have a lot of testosterone that is produced. And to reduce it, you need cortisol. That's logical. And then what do you not want in your life is too much stress, because cortisol in a long-term, as a long-term issue, destroys the body. That's why mediums are often very ill.
Yeah.
But that's why you say, Laurie, no, my energy is gone. I'm not doing a quickie anymore. It would have been, yes, I put the chairperson in their place now. I say, dear chairperson, you should be more aware of what the medium has to produce over such a long time. The right thing would have been, Laurie, it was fantastic. Would you be willing to do another one?
Yeah.
Then you have a choice. Then you can say, okay, I try. Or you can say, thank you so much, Madam Chair, but no, I feel that my system needs now to come into a more relaxed state of being. The strain I feel, so thank you very much, no.
Brilliantly put. I mean, you've gone into actually really interesting scientific. There was, with the old, what we call lovingly, the old school mediums.
Yes.
And they were having blood tests before they demonstrated.
Oh.
And all it was to measure blood sugar. And in every case, after the demonstration, the blood sugar had gone right down.
Of course.
And I just think, why are we not following this up in today's world? Because we've got so much more access, the little things in the hospital just clip on your finger can tell you so much about your body. And wouldn't that be an interesting thing to start finding out?
Oh, of course, it would be interesting, but by now we should know.
Yeah.
Mediumship affects your physical well-being. That's a matter of fact. Yeah. And people are not taught that clearly enough. It is taught. I know it is taught, but people are not aware that in constantly being in that sensitive state, it doesn't even need to be mediumistic. It can just be the psychic state, the intuitive state. It's a proven fact, they are more drawn to have nervous breakdowns because they are much more in a higher stress level of their life.
Yeah.
So it's personal responsibility that I, as a medium, I need to know not only about how mediumship works or sensitivity, but also how I can remain in a state of being that I stay healthy.
Yeah. And the other one that people don't mention too often is the breakdown of relationships over time. I went through a phase of about 10 months to a year.
Yeah.
And I just kept thinking to myself, am I turning into a horrible snob? I'm not a snob. But I feel like I'm turning into a snob.
Right.
And I spoke to wonderful lady, Reverend Elaine Bevan. And I said this to her. And I said, I don't know what it is, but I'm just getting with some people now. I've just pulled right back. But I said, I'm not snobbish. And she said, no, your vibrations are changed and you don't match so well now. And I went, well, number one, hooray, I'm not a snob. Number two, oh my God.
Do you know, Laurie, can I ask, what is so bad about being a snob at some time, in some way? Why not?
I think the word snob has derisory connotations.
See?
It's an imagined height of placement within the community. But yeah, because there was a very interesting thing shared with me with Mark today about, I can't remember the full name of it, but it was this thing, today's world, we've got too much information and not enough knowledge.
Yeah.
And this produces, and it's a double-barreled name, the effect of people who've just got information will go out, launch themselves out there as, being the opposite of everything, but they haven't got the underpinning knowledge. But the adverse effect is the people who are really going into things become less likely to put themselves forward so much and be so decisive in what they say, because they're open to the possibility that this too will change.
Yes. I think there is another thing that is also a huge risk nowadays. You have to be very careful in what you say because people are very easily offended.
Oh, yeah.
And
I've got that down to an art.
Honestly, this is not good because sometimes what people do is just not acceptable. And you should still be able to voice your opinion about what is acceptable and what is not. But in nowadays world, you are being quite quickly attacked for voicing your personal opinion.
Yeah.
And it's very delicate. So a mind that is intelligent, and I'm not always intelligent, is rather quiet than saying something in nowadays culture.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's true. Very, very true. We have got this climate now. I'm very passionate about what's going on in the Middle East. Yeah. Not from a religious point of view, not from a political point of view, but just the mere fact I'm a human being. And this is not acceptable. You know, this is a stain on humanity. But this, you know, people are very nervous about talking, very nervous about giving an opinion, very nervous about, oh, well, I won't say anything, or I won't do anything, you know, and I'll be safe. Which is really sad, because, you know, we are all one. The whole world is made up of exactly the same physical composition as me and you here now. All right, some of them might be a little bit slimmer and a little bit younger, but there is no difference.
It is very true. And I think coming back in what you said, knowledge is one, information is one, knowledge is one, but then there is also understanding.
Very much.
Only having the knowledge doesn't mean you understand.
Yeah.
And this is when we bring it back into the spiritual nature of what we are doing. You with your church, I hopefully through my work, inspiring other people to start thinking a bit out of the box. It's like what people need to start learning to become again is the philosopher. So we have all these beautiful books of silver birches, white eagles, red clouds, and so on, and we are just reading them. That's knowledge. But the question is, do we really understand it? Do we really understand the message of the Spirit? Or is it not possibly the time to start debate groups again, where we are starting to speak spirit again? What is actually meant by the world of spirit? What is actually meant by the benefit of having spirit in your life? You know, it's like, I mean, there are millions of people, they are living good lives without having the connection to God, nor to spirit, or anything. And if you ask them, they would say, I don't miss anything. I'm quite happy in what I have. I have my family, I have my villa, I have my pool, I have my house in abroad, in Spain. I'm quite happy as I am. So maybe it's also starting to become more philosophical as an individual in a group where we are allowed, as you said, allowed to have new perceptions and not being cornered and said, oh no, you are too extreme, you need to leave this group because we can't deal with you.
Yeah.
And in all fairness, it happens. I have experienced it myself. If you start to speak up, all of a sudden you're being ostracized, not by one person, by a whole group. I live it.
Yeah, I've been there, and I probably will be there again. Lovely Stephen Magar. He's just saying, I love his words. Knowledge is knowing a tomato is a fruit. Yeah. Wisdom is knowing it doesn't go with a fruit salad. You need experience to know the difference. Some places and mediums don't know how little they know. They learned a vocabulary.
It's really nice. And I say, and in nowadays world with the fancy cooks that we have, they would say, and it goes with fruit salad. You just need to find the right fruits.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Balsamic vinegar and it'll go.
You know, it's like I find it so fascinating, and thank you, Stephen, for this. It is so fascinating. It is so much bigger and so true. Much bigger.
In one of my previous positions in the world, I was involved a lot in training, and we had an adage in training, and it was, I see, I forget, I hear, I remember, I do, oh no, I comprehend. So that was one part of it. And then we had the levels of competency, and this always really did stick in my mind. So you could be unconsciously incompetent, which means you're doing it wrong, but you know no better, and you're just going to keep doing it that way because we don't know what we don't know.
Mm.
Then there was consciously incompetent, where you were doing things it didn't feel right, but you didn't have the experience or the knowledge to make the correction. Then you had consciously competent, which was you got the task, you know what you're doing, you carry it out, and you do it to completion. But then we have the worst phase, which was unconsciously incompetent and unconsciously competent, I beg your pardon. And that would be that you just do stuff and you're not going to tell anybody else around you what you're doing. You're not going to explain yourself to anybody. You're not going to, even really know why you're doing it. You're just doing it by rote. And I see those levels within the movement as well with people. And I just think it's quite an interesting way of looking at things.
It is very, very interesting.
Mm.
It is really, really, and for me, my journey now, because I'm interested in it, and not every medium is interested in that aspect. And I think that's fair to say. Not everybody needs to do that. If they are good demonstrating mediums or private readings medium or healing mediums, then please do it. You don't need to be a philosopher as such. If you bring both together, I think then we have magic.
Yeah.
But it is a choice, you see. I think it's incredible. I mean, I'm reading a book at the moment, Robert James Lee's.
Oh yeah.
Through the Mists.
Yeah.
And you know what? I came to that point where they say in the spirit world there is only justice.
Mm.
And then it's a whole story, because someone arrived in the world of spirit, and then the person who arrived in the world of spirit said, yeah, but what's about mercy? And then the spirit evolved, guide or supporter, or however you want to call them, said there is no word mercy in the world of spirit, for mercy would diminish justice. And I thought, oh, that's a harsh one. Oh. And then when you read further and you start to think about, and it's like, okay, there is no mercy, because mercy means someone did something wrong, and because I feel that you deserve now forgiveness, or I feel that, okay, I let that through, I say, okay, but they did what they did.
Yeah. That can't be
when you enter the world of spirit, your soul has what it has. And you cannot get away with mercy, because you have to take accountability for what you have done in life. And I thought, you know what? I am within this movement for over 20 years, and I've never really thought of that till I read this book.
Mm.
And it took me like 4 times to read it again and again and again, and to contemplate a little bit. Is that really so harsh in the world of spirit?
I had experiences. Now, this is really only unfolded over the last 2 years. And when I know I've been in the company of spirit, and there was no emotion. Now, when I first felt that, I felt uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And I asked a question. I said, why is there no emotion? It's not a lack of emotion. It's just not there. It wasn't present. And the response came back saying they cannot do their work if they operate emotionally. And that got me thinking about, because we are very emotional beings, and that passage that you just highlighted there, the mercy side means we're seeking that external forgiveness.
Absolutely.
For what we've done. Whereas actually, what was it? Compensation and retribution, although very old, hard words, for all the deeds done. And it is that, because the more we work on bringing things back to ourselves, get guidance, get advice, talk it over with people incarnate and discarnate.
Absolutely. And you said something really nice, is retribution. Ooh,
I know.
Retribution is an old word that is already indoctrinated what it means. Oh, brutal, it's punishment, is this and that. Well, is it really from the world of spirit? When we look at the retribution, what in a spiritualist sense does retribution really mean?
Yeah.
What does it really mean, this word retribution? And maybe it doesn't really mean the same that you have heard it in another context with another religion or within your life. These are, I say, we, what you can do, I say it straightforward, what you can do for a medium to start growing spiritually is to engage them, to motivate them, to be so strong within your philosophy that they want to hear more. And if they start wanting to hear more, their soul will automatically open to that knowledge, and they are starting to think for themselves all of a sudden. And then if you also provide the room where they can say, but I don't agree with you, Laurie, what you have said. And you said, okay, that is fantastic. Let's have a bit of an exchange here.
Yeah.
Then people are starting to grow. But in staying in a cage where we are afraid of saying, I do not agree with that. It does not help the spirit. It does not help our progression. It does not help our community.
Debate is healthy. Diatribe is not. And this is what often happens, that people will resort to something they heard 30 years ago and said, what was one of the old things? Oh, if you didn't want the medium to come to you, you cross your legs. Now, I never understood why, but if you don't want the medium to come to you, just sit there and cross your legs. And, we just keep these weird old things that have never been examined. We've just taken it as, gospel, and we've never examined it.
Absolutely.
There was a comment earlier on, I forget who from, but they said, spiritualism has changed. Well, of course it has. The spirit world has changed. I often hear mediums saying, oh, spirit have changed the way they work with me. No, they haven't. You've changed. You're the one changing. We are here living in this fluid, changing environment. And as we change, as we evolve, so does the support coming in. So does the physical world around us change. There is only one thing inevitable in the world, and that is change. So sorry, I'll go rattling on, David. So just tell me to shut up.
No. I find it honestly, I find it incredibly interesting. And as you see, an hour is not enough. That's what shows, and that there's so much more that we could talk about. But when you look at one statement that is I feel it's in all spiritualist movement, is eternal progress.
Yeah.
Well, if it's eternally progressing, you can't stand still.
Mm-hmm.
And if you find yourself standing still as a person, if you find yourself standing still within your mediumship, that it is always the same, even if it's great mediumship. If you are a healing medium and it stays the same all the times, then you are no longer on that journey that is based on eternal progression.
Yeah.
You have to be, you see, we are training people to be perfect on a rostrum. You cannot, if you are progressing as a person, you will never be perfect. because there is always more that you can achieve. But to get there, you have to go wrong. Sometimes you have to struggle. But what is so brutal at times is you stand on that rostrum, you give that one reading that is rubbish, and you are defined by that forever.
Oh, yeah.
And this is where people need to, maybe it helps if people are starting to be trained differently, that we say, do you know what, every time you stand up on that rostrum, I wish that you struggle a little bit. I wish that you are allowing yourself to go wrong, because that shows that you are being brave, that you are pushing your boundaries. And everybody in the congregation should be trained well enough to applaud someone who is brave again and is pushing the boundaries, even if it's from the rostrum, even if it's in front of 1,000 people. You know, that's what I wish us mediums, because then our mediumship starts to live again, to be creative again. That's what I would like to have. Yay!
Yeah. I am absolutely loving this so much. And it is just so true, you know, because what is the perfect message? You know, our mediumship is so subjective to people. You can hear somebody, and this actually happened once, somebody was being a little bit reluctant on committing to yes and no. It was just like, just give me one thing. I said, holding up a pineapple, and that was it. Now, to anybody else in the room, they were going, well, what's all that about? You know, that's not good mediumship. Because remember, whenever we demonstrate, suddenly we're demonstrating to a room full of people who are mediums, and they know what is good mediumship or not. But it's just that subjective thing. And as I always teach and show when circles and courses here, you know, number one, a no is great. A no is not to be, you know, because so many times you hear no and everything shuts down, or we go straight in there. A no is just like, right, come on, really stretch.
Okay.
Yeah, really.
I say a bit. Today I say something else. It's not per se that you are afraid of the no. It is being afraid of what people think of you and how they start to judge you. Because when we look at mediumship is a creative moment. Maybe the pineapple is just the starting point, but because you're not going further with it, the story can't come.
Yeah.
I mean, a friend of mine, I demonstrated with her, and she doesn't mind, hopefully, that I say that. But she said, I have this crocodile. She started with that, I have a crocodile. And you could see in the energy, even I myself was like, hey, we are creating a demonstration, an evidential demonstration. You should talk about mother, father, whatsoever, but certainly not about the crocodile. But she went on, and then in the end, the crocodile was the starting point for the lady to step forward, who went on safaris, who had the story that she always told about the crocodile. I tell you, this one was more evidential than if she had said she worked for the Red Cross, she did this, she did that. Exactly. That was her telling the medium her memory of what was relevant to her.
Not the shopping list.
Yes, but fact is, if I would go onto rostrum and started with crocodile, what's this about? Then you feel the energy from your congregation. You might even feel the shock of your chairperson that thinks, oh my God, what is this evening going to be? I must say, chair people have not always the easiest job. I admire how they do it, honestly. But fact is, mediumship is a creative moment. And sometimes you need to allow that creative moment to blossom before it makes sense.
Yeah, very much. Very much. And it's also that experience. And again, this is something that I do introduce when I'm doing the introductions and say, you know, if you're going to sit there like that and come and impress me, you're not going to get a lot out of this. Seriously. But if you immerse yourself in the experience of what's happening, just open yourself up to that movement of energy, that shift in the emotion.
I absolutely understand that, Laurie, and I feel the same in one way. But when we bring it back to ourselves, and I had that. Everybody's entitled to be very, very cautious about what they are told, especially from a medium.
Yeah.
Because not everything is always true and right, isn't it? So fact is, if I have someone who is behaving like that, I need to reflect that onto my own mediumship and say, hey, spirit people, it seems that we are not quite so accurate to convince even this kind of person. If my mediumship was so spot on and I would hear, I'm sorry, I don't hear the spirit people talking into my ear. I'm not yet Helen Hughes, unfortunately. But if you could go to such a person and say, and you, sir, you know Mrs. Jones from Avenue 26. She looked after you when your mom was at work. This is correct. And even then, a person will say, yes. And she's telling you now. Do you know what? Then I have a good mediumship.
Yeah.
It is not their fault that some people can't be open. Some people are so vulnerable in this moment that they cannot answer. It's just an example. It's like I demonstrated in Germany and then it went so well. And then all of a sudden I just saw this guinea pig. It's like, it's like I have a guinea pig. And I could tell everything about this guinea pig. It was so real. It wasn't fantasy. I knew it wasn't fantasy. This is the difference. I knew it wasn't fantasy. But there was nobody taking my guinea pig. They said, can it be a rabbit? And then I said, no, it cannot be a rabbit. Maybe it could be a hamster because maybe I see it too fat or too great. But I feel it's a guinea pig. And nobody took it. So, okay, I sank. In the middle of the demonstration, I sank. And after that, it was really interesting. After that, in the parking lot, all of a sudden, a lady shouted and said, David, we found your guinea pig. And then I was like, in the first place, I was a bit annoyed because I had like 60 people that witnessed me going down with the ship, okay?
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden in my mind, it said, okay, David, go to this person and ask her why she didn't own up. Because I had more information of a lady and so on. But nobody took that. And she said, listen, I was so afraid that something is being said that I don't want people to know.
Okay.
This is why I didn't put up my hand, because I was afraid. The message was delivered, Laurie. The message was delivered. The evidence was evidential and correct. But in that moment of delivery, it wasn't taken because the person was afraid. So was that a failure? Yes, in the eyes of 60 people who witnessed me, but what was cool is I got for 3 weeks, I got messages. I think I know who this guinea pig belongs to. And this is really interesting because this was the most memorable demonstration for people to take back home and think about, because I got messages 3 weeks later of people still trying to find the owner of the guinea pig. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So in their minds, for 3 weeks after demonstration, they were still connected with the spirit world.
Yeah.
How intelligent is this thing?
And on the kick side of that, I've been giving thought to how long is it before we work demonstrating? Is it before the spirit world start making their presence felt to us?
That's it.
Because I did an online recently, and I picked the piece of music before the dem, 3 weeks before, and the very first message, it was relaying, the contact. And I said, it keeps taking my mind back to the music. And they said, that's what we were married to. And I went, I got that 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I just think, ooh.
Yes,
anyway,
and this ooh.
It is ooh. Yeah, we're allowed to go ooh. I always say to all the students and all the demonstrators, we're really good at going away and beating ourselves up afterwards. Yeah. I missed that. I didn't do that. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. I said, but also equally, you should be patting yourself on the back and going, wow, that bit was good. That worked. Get that balance. But anyway, lovely Reverend Ashley. Courage to be Disliked is a fantastic book about our human need for external validation. See, we're going for this external thing again. We are not immune to this just because we are working.
It's absolutely correct. And then I say something here, Ashley, thank you so much. Why do I have to be courageous to be disliked just because I voice a different opinion or I work differently than others? If we were true spiritual people, we would acknowledge the individuality of each and everyone. And this is where we haven't really grasped the concept of the spiritual teaching that we have. Because if I was spiritually evolved, I would not have to be afraid of being disliked just because of who I am.
Yeah.
That's what I conclude here.
Yeah.
We have not understood the spirit message. Me included, by the way.
It is really true, because again, we're going back to the very early parts about the development of the medium. I know from my personal experience, my whole nature has changed now. And I've said this phrase a couple of times tonight. If somebody likes something, great. If they don't like it, great. I'm not fast. I'll beat myself up. I will sit as judge of myself and think, Lawrence, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. But I've had people say to me afterwards various comments from, the positive through to the negative. And I've just treated them equally. It's, oh, thank you. I'm not looking for that validation from the outside. I'm not looking, my locus is on with me. And that's not a selfish thing.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm not quite so secure within myself that I don't care what people think of me. I have not yet, or I have not yet evolved to that let's say level or understanding where I could just say, do you know what, they can say whatever they want about me and it doesn't touch me, it doesn't hurt me, it doesn't make me angry. In all fairness, I haven't yet reached that moment. However, saying that, when we listen to the spirit teachings, that should never happen. Yeah. If we were truly walking the path of the spirit teachings, we would say, listen, David, I do not really agree what you have done. And in my opinion, this was terrible. But I still like you. You are still allowed to be part of this community. You are still allowed to have a nice life, and you still are allowed to lead a happy life, even though your actions displease me.
Yeah. And when I get situations like that, is that how can we improve on what happened?
And this is where the Lyceum is so important.
Thank you.
Where we are bringing people together. I often hear people complimenting me or thanking me, let's say thanking me, for my honesty and vulnerability, that I speak about my life, that I speak about where I'm not perfect, because it makes it real. It makes it real. And fact is, we people, we are real.
And we tend to shield our vulnerability, shield what we perceive as a weakness about us. But actually, when you open up about these things, you suddenly are surprised that half the room goes, "Oh my God, I do exactly the same."
Yes. And you see, I had an idea. That's a very challenging idea. I'm not saying, and this is so beautiful with spirit and being spirit inspired, that doesn't mean that the person has to do it themselves or has to be capable in doing it themselves, because it's spirit inspired. So it should come from a more evolved state of mind and being, shouldn't it? So me as a medium, I'm just transmitting wonderful philosophy that I, as a human being, am not capable to fulfill myself yet. But for example, you spoke about the Middle East. So instead of going out onto the streets, why don't we fly into the Middle East, every single one, and we parade the roads there? Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Why not just everybody says, I don't agree with that one. Let's fly into there and let's bring it to a halt.
Yeah. My favorite way of putting that is saying, just simply say no. And when I say no, when I say no like that, I'm not just saying the word. From the very core of my being, I'm saying no.
Action.
Yeah, and this is it, an action. Definitely.
I know that sometimes I think no, but as a person, as where I am in my development, I cannot always follow through what I think or wished to be doing. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that I'm a bad person just because I am in a non-action mode.
Yeah. Yeah. No, totally get that.
You know, I think it's really great. So the Lyceum is people come together. Let's be open. Let's say, okay, even if I don't understand what you say, then please explain it to me so I can understand it.
Exactly.
So bring it on. I want to understand you. Tell me why you feel or think the way you feel. And then I tell you, and this has to do with not only information, that has to do with knowledge, that has to do with understanding, because when I have the knowledge, then I gain maybe an understanding. And when I have an understanding, then I can tell you why I feel or think what I do.
Yeah.
And that's a spirit message, isn't it? Truth.
Very much. Very much. David.
Yes,
I hope you have enjoyed as much tonight as I have.
I loved it. You just said it. Thank you very much for this space and room. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's been really. Yeah, there's lots. I'm going to go back over this and re-listen. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for the perseverance at the beginning. Slight technical hitch, but oh well. We're here. That's all that matters.
Do you know what? The spirit world never said that life is easy.
Oh no.
Sometimes you have to persevere to achieve.
Cheeky wink there.
No, thank you so much, Laurie. It was really nice. And I hope that it helps the listeners to maybe get an inspiration, or if it helps in one way, that's fine. And if things were said by me that don't please you, then please chuck it or do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Fine. It's
And
just...
I think the whole energy with the Lyceum nights, it promotes thinking. And like I always say, if you agree with it, great. If you don't agree with it, great. Because that means you've got your own thoughts, your own pathway, your own understanding. There was a wonderful, again, one of the very old books, probably preceding the one you're reading, Through the Myths. And it said there are as many schools of thought in the world of spirit as there are stars in the sky. And I thought, I like that. You know, because we are searching, aren't we? We want the answer. Oh, look, there it is. That's the answer. No.
Because I would like to encourage people. You said, if you like it, that's good. If you don't like it, that's also good. If you don't like it, why don't you bring something into that conversation? Why you don't like it? What was the element? And then you bring your explanation why you don't like it. You see, I think that's where the wealth is of that whole movement. Is fantastic.
The wealth of the movement. Oh, I like that. Oh, I'm going to nick that. In the meantime, David, you've been absolute delight. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful evening. Thank you, everybody who's joined in, whether you're on the dreaded social media or YouTube or in the podcast that will come from this later on. We hope that this has inspired you to think, to delve deeper, to discuss. That's why we're here. So thank you, everybody. Remember, you can see a live spiritualist divine service from here in Poole tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Then we have the Lyceum next Saturday at 7 p.m. So in the meantime, everybody, thank you ever so much for your time. And we wish you the most peaceful of nights. Good night, everybody.
Good night.